Hi everyone, thanks for checking out another InfoSec Hub video, and today we're going to talk about the most common types of password attacks, and I will explain them all briefly. So password attacks, it's always very annoying, of course, because you are in the process of losing access to your account, and not only that, when your password is stolen, the attacker can change the password, rendering you basically out of the application. You don't have no access no more. So how can this be done? And we're going to start with the brute force attack. And brute forcing a password is just trying lots of combinations at the same time, simultaneously, until one of the passwords fits and you have access to the account in a brute force way. Brute force attacks can also be done at systems, rendering them useless, basically a denial of service attack. But with this brute force attack, you can have you have a computer program that generates every kind of possible combination of characters that's out there, and then fires it back at the application until you basically crack the password by guessing the right correct password. Then you have a dictionary attack. That's also a type of password crack that is a long list of passwords, and usually they are taken from a dictionary. So it's a list of passwords that are very common. And with this, you basically go through the books of all these well-known passwords. And in data breaches, for instance, you also see a list of passwords. So you get an idea of what is used very common. And a very common password is 123456789 for instance. That's one of the most commonly used passwords. If you know a little bit more information about that person, maybe you know the name of his dog or the name of his wife or man or whatever, with the date of birth, for instance, and you have another type of attack that is very common, a password combination that's very common. Then you have a rainbow table attack, and this is a bit of a technical story. So as soon as you have a password manager, you create a password. For this password, a hash to secure this and to validate this password, I should say, is created. So that's a hash, and you can also get all those passwords in a sort of a dictionary and then fire those hashes at the application, for instance, and it's a possible password subset, and this can be a very effective type of attack as well. Then you have the social engineering one, which usually is done either by telephone or by email, and it always an urgency. For instance, you might lose access to your account. I made a few settings just perpetrating that this comes from an IT department, and they will ask you to type a password, for instance, in a web form or send it by email. Anyway, you're basically disclosing your password all by yourself, and this way it's being harvested, and then without your knowledge, you can log in. One thing to mitigate this is if you have multi-factor authentication, for instance, you have a text message coming to your mobile phone. So even if the attacker tries to log in, you get a text message, and then you already should know by default something is off. But if you don't have multi-factor authentication, and then the attacker will gain access to your account. So if the possibility of adding another layer of security is there, then always go for that. Then the last one is the credential stuffing attack. So this is basically a long list of types of passwords that is stolen. So you have the combination of usernames and passwords that are obtained in a data breach or being stolen. Is very effective, and you can look up the account. For instance, usually username is an email address nowadays, and you have the password, the username password combination is what you have there. Sometimes it even lists the service, but we also know examples of people that use the same username password combination on all the websites. So maybe in Google, maybe Netflix, all the popular service, for instance, and you can gain access. So never use the same password again for different services, because if you have a data breach there, that might also affect all the other accounts that you have. So this is basically, in very short, all the different types of password attacks that you have. Long story short, sooner or later you will be under attack. You can mitigate this risk by adding another layer of security with multi-factor authentication, either an authenticator app on your mobile phone, or maybe they send a code to your mobile phone and they will send you code indeed that you have to enter on the website. That's another layer of security. I also sometimes see that at websites, they ask you username, password, then they ask you to verify that you're human by solving a very simple math thing or clicking on a certain image, and then they will send you a code again, and then you need to enter. So it's basically two extra layers of verification that you need to know in order to enter this website. So the more layers you have, the more difficult it becomes to really gain access. And I would always recommend that, especially when it comes to your Gmail account or when it comes to your Outlook or stuff like that. When it is available, just enable it. It will really save you a lot of headache in the future. Well, thanks for watching. I hope it was useful, and if so, we hope to see you the next time.